Alright, I promised another game, and here we go. Just as an aside, I had a number of people comment about the fact that they couldn't see the cards on their phone. So I've done everything I possibly can here. You can see right here. Try to make the cards big. This is card size. This is as big as they get, I think. I don't really know of any way to make the cards bigger. Alright, slider bar at max. There. That's as big as I can get them, guys. I'm sorry if it's still too small on your little tiny iPhones or whatever. This game, I've got Nin versus Brea, which is sort of a age-old battle. Tons of Brea, obviously. Not too much Nin. Brea is everywhere, and is clearly one of the most powerful top-tier commanders. Let's see here. I'm not sure if I'm going first. I have an excellent draw, though, against Brea. Not only do I have Vandal Blast, which is probably the single most powerful card you can have against a Brea archetype, but I also have 3 colors of mana, and I even have Force of Will. The Mox isn't too useful, but that's probably okay, because the rest of the hand, even as a 6-card hand, is excellent. So I'm certainly keeping this. Go away. Alright, I'm going first, too, which is fantastic. Flagstones. That's an interesting card to see first. But whenever I see Flagstones of Trocare, at least I know to be on the alert for Armageddon, because that's pretty much the only reason you'd ever play a basic Plains that isn't even basic. Copy Artifact, another excellent card against Brea. I'm just going to use this opportunity to play Nin. The other reason that drawing Copy Artifact is so nice too is that it gives me a potential secondary blue card to throw away, because I love Forbid, don't really want to throw it away. It's probably the best counter spell left in the entire deck now that Mana Drain is gone. When I play Nin here and he taps 1 white, I just feel like, god damn it, he's going to have stupid Mana Tithe, which would really suck to have Nin countered by that. I hate having Mana Tithe counter anything, but fortunately all he's got is regular Tithe, not the mana version. That's kind of ironic, actually, right? This is Mana Tithe too, gets mana. Alright, let's see what he got here. So he gets a Scrubland and a Tundra, so he's clearly got red mana. And Stoneforge Mystic. Yuck. Alright. Well, I'm not totally helpless against that due to the fact that I do have the Vandal Blast. And I'm thinking, please don't get Sword of Fire and Ice. Although, honestly, these decks don't really tend to run Sword of Fire and Ice. The equipment you generally see is Batterskull, Skull Clamp, and often Sword of Feast and Famine, sometimes Jitte. Sure enough, he goes and gets Batterskull, which among all of those is easily the weakest card against my deck. So I'm very happy to see that. Actually, it's not that high pressure at all. The swords are way worse. And I'm happy to see as well a Misty Rainforest arrive. I'm just going to say done. Alright, there's that Tundra that he tutored for. Of course, he just says done. No temptation for me to shoot Nin for 1. Draw that as well. I'm just playing these out right now because I want to thin both the Volcanics out of my deck. End of turn, he of course puts Batterskull out. That's such an insane combo. 4/4 Lifelink Vigilance. There's a Glacial Fortress as well. Doesn't have red though, which is interesting. But I guess maybe he didn't have blue either when he tutored. I have to, of course, take the 4 damage. There's no temptation here to use Nin for just 2. I'm not really under that much pressure, and I'd like to at least use her for 3. And then post-combat, he casts a Planeswalker, Kaya Ghost Assassin. Obviously, there's a billion different two colorless, 1 black, 1 white Planeswalkers you can play with, like 8 million versions of Sorin and stuff. Exile her. Okay. 1 target creature. It's bizarre use. Secondary ability kind of sucks, and last ability is really deadly. So, as much as I am loath to use my counter spells on anything right now, I'm going to have to counter that with Forbid. So the question is, do I buy it back? I'm sacking my stuff in response here, first of all. So if I buy it back, what do I buy it back with? Okay, currently the Mox is garbage. Copy Artifact normally would be useless, but I have every intention of actually copying Batterskull because I need something to stabilize. Plus, if I have a copied Batterskull in play, then I have the ability to have something to shoot repeatedly. And if he's not able to stop that, that's basically it's basically a Tidings every turn, right? +3 hand size if I shoot it for 3. So he'll lose the game in short order to that, which means that the copy artifact is super valuable now that Batterskull's in play. The Mox sucks. I really need this island, though, because I want more mana, especially because I can go copy artifact and still forbid. And the Force of Will, of course, is useful. I need Vandal Blast as a general card against his deck, and certainly to deal with the Batterskull, especially now that he tapped out. So as much as I hate to do it, I have to just hard cast Forbid here and let it go, because I just can't afford to buy it back right now. I'm going to go fetch twice here. Alright. Pact of Negation. Interesting. Well, that's certainly very timely as well, and it gives me another Force of Will thing. So I'm going to copy the Batterskull, and then I'm going to destroy his Batterskull, because he tapped out and he can't return it to his hand. I think casting the Planeswalker there was very greedy of him, honestly, as it's extremely difficult to deal with Batterskull plus Stoneforge if he's got mana untapped. Alright. This actually feels... I mean, my hand feels weak, but it can very quickly get juiced back up, especially if I draw more mana here quickly. And being able to shoot Batterskull for 3 a turn is just crazy. Alright, so he's tapping some mana. And he casts Anguish Unmaking on the Batterskull. And I definitely gave some thought here to just forcing and using the Pact of Negation as the force bait so that I could shoot my Batterskull for 3 to regenerate my hand. But the deck has so many blue cards in it that I feel that there's a reasonable chance I may just draw into a blue card right away. And that way I still have access to 2 counterspells. And this just sort of feels to me, especially because I don't see any red, this feels like the right spot to tap out. It's certainly taking a risk, and he could have killed me with something like Land Winter Orb or a Wasteland or whatever, but I feel like the risk is worth it. That I really want to hold on to that Force of Will still, even if it means my next turn is dead, especially because he's just not doing that much. So I'm very happy to be able to pay 5 here. Polluted Delta, very nice. It's a smash for 4. And he chump blocks, which is really weird given he's at 34 life. I'm not sure what that's about, but and then he casts Mystical Tutor at the end of the turn, and I'm figuring, oh, okay, well, I guess he's going to go get Deluge or something, or maybe Wrath of God, or maybe Terminus, or something that just kills the creatures, right? That would be the only reason why he would chump block with Stoneforge Mystic when he's at 34. But he gets Vindicate. Alright, that's fine. Cool. Well, he's tapping out to do that. And I've already got 6 land in play. And Fact or Fiction. So the deck did deliver a blue card quite quickly. And with him tapped out right now, I decide that the fact that I have Force of Will as my main counterspell right now means that I think that this is the perfect time to just have Nin shoot herself, given that he's only got 1 mana untapped, and I'm certain he doesn't have Swords to Plowshares right now. So it seems like a perfect opening to have Nin shoot herself, where he can't do something like Venser in response or whatever, or just cast a black kill spell, or a Lightning Bolt or something if he draws red. Draw 4 and get Spell Snare, which is fantastic. So I'm going to play my island. He plays a Felwar Stone to try to get red mana, and my deck had delivered a Spell Snare to crush his dreams. He casts Imperial Seal. Look at all these tutors. It's a very good example of something that does happen with the Breya deck from time to time. And this guy's clearly playing a pretty good version of it, in that you don't draw the kind of foundational components that allow you to play the game. You don't draw mana, you don't draw signets. You just draw lots of tutors, and so you're forced to pay your draw step in order to get the things that you need. And back in the day, that was fine before they banned everything, because Imperial Seal, you're completely happy to stunt your growth for a turn when you were Imperial Sealing for a Mana Crypt or a Soul Ring, because you'd be developing your mana by 2 turns anyway, and it was totally worth it. Nowadays, there just aren't as many good things to get with those cards, and so they lose quite a bit of value. You can see how small his hand size is now. He's just down to 3, and he still only has 4 land, even after doing all that stuff. And I draw Keranos. So I give some thought to this, but the thing about Keranos is that Keranos' main ability is honestly just killing creatures repeatedly, and Keranos doesn't do anything against Breya, because Breya's got 4 toughness other than kill the dumb Thopters. You can draw extra cards of Keranos, of course, if you hit lands, but that's not a guarantee at all, and the deck doesn't even have very many land in it. In fact, I've got 8 of them in play, which means there are only, I think, 20, 24, 25 lands left in the deck. So roughly a 1 in 3 chance of getting a land, not good enough to justify playing Keranos, which means that after some thought, I kind of tinker around with different ideas. I decide I'm just going to, you can see me tapping 5 there and thinking about it, and then thinking better and just going, you know what, guaranteed draw 6 or whatever is a lot better, especially when I can protect it with both Muddle and Force of Will. So my plan here, of course, is to potentially muddle whatever he plays and then force with the Keranos and then use Fact or Fiction if need be, if nothing else happens. So it goes back to his turn. He still doesn't have any red mana. And he just plays Winter Orb, which is actually kind of gutsy. Kind of a gutsy play. I kind of like this play, actually. Given the fact that he knows that I really want to be tapping out with Nin, and Winter Orb is kind of the enemy of this commander. So just playing a Winter Orb, it certainly doesn't do him any good at all. But it does more damage to me, certainly. It shuts down my commander completely. And I think it's an excellent play, actually, just to bait with it. Not that he had a good follow-up, but it gets... I mean, look what he got, right? He got a Force of Will out of my hand and the Keranos. Pretty fantastic, actually. And then he's just done again. So end of turn, of course, I'm just going to tap out and cast Fact or Fiction. And look at all this goodies. Dack Fade and Everflowing Chalice. Not a particularly useful Earthquake, but Trinket Mage and Fabricate. And he looks at these piles for a little bit. And he looks. And he looks. And the replay sits here. Come on, replay, I believe in you. Hello? Let's jump ahead here. Did it just hang? I think this was the end of the game, to be honest. Wow, it's just stuck. I swear this worked better when I reviewed it, but anyway, the end result of this is after contemplating how to split these and shuffling them around for a little bit, Maple Leaf Magic just packed it in. He realized that there was no coming back from this position, given the fact that I'm getting 5 spells, or at least 3 spells off of this, and likely a Dack Fayden when he has no counter magic, and Dack Fayden is just single-handedly the death of Breya. So he does scoop it up after this game, and that's it. I thought this was a pretty nice demonstration of how Nin's tools stack up against the Breya deck, and about how, despite all of these excellent cards, that just simple counterspells can often constrain them to the point where you can just win with the general's ability. Pretty awesome. And I've actually played these decks against each other a fair amount, and I'm kind of starting to feel that Nin is actually favored a little bit, which surprises me given how many tools that Breya has. But Breya does have a hard time with a lot of counterspells, and Nin has that in spades. Tons and tons of counters. And not really a lot of ways of interacting with the general either outside of Breya herself. So if Nin's able to keep Breya out of play, it's very hard for Breya to deal with Nin herself. And often an activation or two is enough to win the game. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. I've got numerous games coming up. See you soon.